I will reflect that coming from the north of the state and representing the best part of the state, this has not been an easy issue for many of my constituents. I think any member for Bass in this chamber would agree, even if they're not prepared to say so on the public record. I want to speak, and I want to say that at various times I've had some big questions. My colleagues in my party would know that every time and any time in my time in government that there's been a discussion around a significant financial outlay, I've always needed a lot of convincing. I've always needed to be persuaded. That's the way I am. I like to be convinced and see the merits of the arguments. And I think at various times there have been some proper questions to be answered. Maybe some of those unanswered questions are the reason that the Labor Party opposed the stadium from the outset, and they mocked it, and they called it a floating stadium to try to make it, you know,
the Premier called it a floating stadium before.
Oh, no, we're nearly there.
You know, the opportunism of that politics did not serve us well at all at getting answers to the questions than to see a strong project management model being put around this project. It's been a real journey. And I also have had questions of process, the financials, the community support, the way that the AFL have treated our state for a long time, not just in recent years. And of course, the manner with which the Australian government have treated us in being a financial partner with our state in this project. But you're not much of a partner if you give us a $240 million grant, but you don't give us the GST exemption, which means that we potentially, we're at risk of losing a significant fraction of the funds later on. I'll come to that later. We've worked through these difficult issues. The Premier has continued to advance and champion this project. Ministers have supported the Premier and the team. And there have been plenty, thousands, tens of thousands, dare I say hundreds of thousands of Tasmanians who have also cheered it on. But it hasn't been unanimous. And speaking again from the north, it's been a challenge to work through. One of the leading influences in my thinking has been my father, my pastor, and one of the leading businessmen in the north, Errol Stewart. When I listened to them speaking to me from their very different perspectives, I was so comforted, if you like, and pleased with the business and the social and the sense of obligation to the economy that those three leading figures in my life brought to me. We mustn't lose sight of the fact, and it's been mentioned, if at all, far too infrequently through this debate and the lead up to it, that the first major upgrade goes to York Park. Some call it UTAS Stadium, I don't. It's York Park always for me. We in the north are the biggest and earliest beneficiary for this overall project. Our team will be running onto York Park, and it will be a phenomenal facility. It will be completely transformed with $130 million of investment and all the jobs that go with that. I want to reflect as well that when the opportunity to join the Tasmanian Football Club emerged, of course I joined. I was always going to, and I think in the order of the memberships, I came in at around about 30,000. I think that was sort of about 8 p.m. Could be wrong about that, but every member of my family joined the Tasmanian Football Club at the same time. People in my family who have the least bit of interest in football. Just want to think about that for a moment. People who have little interest in Australian rules joining the Tasmanian Football Club says a lot more about our state than only a fixation on organised team sport.
Yep.
Because this project actually does represent more than achieving the dream of an AFL team, which of course I vigorously support. It's broader than that. It's about what kind of state we believe we are and can be in the future. I grew up at a time where we lost major projects, the Wesley Vale pulp mill, major dam infrastructure, which divided the state. But the big thinking, the big projects which evaded our community, and even if you think that's wonderful that we didn't get those developments, the economic loss and the loss of optimism for the future is something I grew up with in this state. I remember it very, very well. And I've sensed a different outlook in this, and people have been so excited. And I want to speak up for that. Of course, 30,000, get in line, of course, it got up to well over 250 financial members. I want to give a great shout out to the incredible leadership of that club. We've been very blessed with the men and women who are serving in board positions and the executive of our club, the Devils. So thank you to Grant O'Brien and Kath McCann, who have been leading lights from the board, and of course Brendan Gale, who's somebody we really look to with such admiration. Now, we need development. And the unanswered question from those who continue to oppose this project is, well, then what else? Because we do need major development. We always need to have a major project on the books in the next slot. We need that. The state needs to be able to say yes, to have a culture of permission that, yes, we can be ambitious. Yes, we are able to aspire. And yes, we can have some of the wonderful public infrastructure that other states just take for granted. This stadium is for all ages. The project, the team and the benefits that go with it are for the spectrum of our community. I personally believe that the biggest beneficiaries are our young people.
Yeah.
I believe that our generation, that is people 40 and over, I believe in many ways we've lost sight of our obligation to younger generations. And this is for them. Especially when you look at the juniors who are interested in sport, not just, but including Aussie rules, we must have them firmly in our minds. Now, I realise today was a school day, a college day, possibly an exam day, but how many young people have we seen cheering from the galleries every time somebody gave a riveting speech against the stadium? They weren't here. And we can't lose sight of that, because they're our charges, they're our obligation, and we owe to them the future that they deserve. We owe it to them. And for an asset, it's not just an expenditure, it's an asset that will be with us for decades, call it 40, 50 years. That's their future. It's certainly part of their future. The construction sector are looking for the next big project. But it's not their first. This government has delivered the Royal, the much talked about but never got around to Royal. The Bridgewater Bridge, it's been promised since the 1990s. We've delivered it, and we've done so in partnership with the construction sector. It's been very successful. Port developments, rail developments, airport developments, road developments, major road developments that are saving lives right now. We have, as a state, had the wherewithal and the capability to get it done. And we can do this as well. Somebody mentioned risks. Yes, every project has risks and they need to be managed, and competent people can do that. A brief word on the politics. I think it's been one of the great exhibitions of disappointing human nature, the politics that's been played around these projects. In particular, I single out the Labor Party on this. They looked for every opportunity to score a political point. We've seen the lot. We've had MPIs. We've had motions passed demanding confidential documents that ministers couldn't provide. We've had the ridiculing of the Premier and other ministers, the use of the word floating stadium. We've had the arguments about the cenotaph. I think best I've ever heard responded to by our minister this morning. We've had the inquiries. We've had the websites. We've had the social media videos, the reels. We've had the stickers. And of course, we've had the petition that was never tabled in this House. Don't know how many people signed it, but it was advertised. And of course, the election pledges, which hurt us in the Liberal Party in 2024. It did. But you've got to stand for something. And I want to thank those who fought for a good financial outcome and a proper one in regard to our GST. We vowed that we would get it, and we did.
Yep. Well,
and I want to particularly thank those Liberal senators who fought for it and single out Senator Tammy Tyrrell, independent senator for this state. I think it's probably one of the greatest things that she's done in that role, and she's represented this state and got a great result by arguing for it and not going quiet on it. A brief word on budget. Yes, it's an investment in an asset that will be with us for decades to come. But when I've heard members arguing against the stadium on the basis of financial outlay, they seem to be pigeonholing and setting aside what the Treasurer said in his budget speech just days ago. This budget has an extra $900 million for health. We are able to invest in our infrastructure and our essential services at the same time. And what if we did vote this down? Or what if the other place voted it down? Has anybody considered those costs? Well, for a start, we'll lose our $250 million, $240 million. Canberra will be raking it back, no doubt. I wouldn't put it past them. The AFL would withdraw their $360 million. And there's still the financial cost of developing Macquarie Point.
That's right.
What about the non-financial costs? What about those? What about the loss of economic activity? What about the jobs and apprenticeships and training positions in the construction sector around the build program? What about the lost events? What about the lost conferences? What about the plans that businesses will now set aside because, no, it's obviously we can't get things done in this state, and we're back to that sort of no-can-do attitude that has troubled this state for far too long, with a belief in saying no. What about the loss in the physical activity and benefits of exercise that all ages would otherwise enjoy? What about the social strength and conditioning that we might lose if young people have lost those opportunities to really engage in a reinvigorated sport? There's nothing like team sport to build a sense of a whole person, a person who's cared for, watched out for, got the mentoring of the coach, the volunteers, the chaplain, the younger ones who are admiring them and the way they want to. I want to be like that guy one day. I want to be like that woman one day. The loss of the opportunities that come with a reinvigorated sporting code. And in this period of our society, we need to see more people not just playing physical sport for the health, physical benefits, but equally for the mental health and socialisation benefits that will come from it. So I've lost a few voters over this issue, but I want to say to any of those people who have believed in me, believed in our Liberal Party in the past, and have been unsure, I say to them, I've considered this very, very carefully. I believe everybody here has as well, but I'm speaking for myself. And I have formed the very strong view that the total benefits to our state, including to my families in Bass, the total benefits are greater than the total costs. And on the other side, if we were to abandon this permit, the total costs will be much greater than the benefits of not having to pay our share toward the project. So that's my position. It is, of course, consistent with my party's position, but that's my articulation of it. And I want to say to anybody listening in the chamber or out of it, I do believe that we can make a go of this for Tasmania. I believe it can be a success, and for many of us, it will be around longer than we will even be alive to enjoy it. So I commend the motion to the House and thank the
I
Minister for
thank
bringing it through.
the honourable member for Bass.